All right, well, today I'm going to make a monster prop using the PVC tubing, CPVC tubing, uh, insulating foam, pool noodles, and pillows to build out the body. Um, the sound didn't work out too well in the video, so I'm having to do this multi-cropped edit. Hopefully you guys will get the gist out of this whole thing. Anyway, I'm going to show you how I use PVC to make the body, the frame. I've cut an area, I've cut a spine, I've cut the tubing to make the shoulders and to make the hips. I use T's, that's a T, a plumbing T. I usually will use a 4-way so I can have an area to put the neck in, neck wire or tube. But they wanted like $6 for one of those things. So I'm just going to modify one of those T's by drilling a hole through it so that I can shoot the wire in that I'm going to use to set the mask head on. After I do that, you'll see where I've actually cut a hole through that. And that's the shoulder area. And that's where I'm going to stick the wire through there so then you can put the head on. And you can also bend the wire like you would bend the neck. Now that's about 16 inches, and I would recommend you make it a little bit wider if you're going to have a taller monster. The back itself, I think, is about 24 inches for the spine, which may be a little long, but this monster is going to be about 6'5". That's the hips. You notice I use a T in the middle, and then I use some 90-degree elbows, and I will attach the leg tubes to those. You can also, you can either glue it in position or leave it all loose. But if you leave it loose, you can adjust it so you can have the legs one maybe going forward or put him in a sitting down position. I bought some adjustable PVC connectors. I'm not going to use those. I've got like 6 of them, so the next time I make a monster, I might use those, but those you have to order online. The other things I bought at the local hardware home center. That's the pipe insulation that I'll be using to do some of the insulation with, some of the filling out on the outside of the tubes. The tubes for the hips, each PVC piece that I cut is about 5 inches on either side, and that's what I stick into the T, and then I stick the elbow on it. That's the shoulder, like I say, it's about 16 inches. If you look at your shoulders, or if you want to make them about the size of yours or a little bigger, I used to put in those 90s and then use PVC tubing for the arms. But then I kind of got creative and I said, hey, if I use some heavy gauge wire, if I can buy it cheap enough, I can use heavy gauge wire and it's posable. So I can bend it and move it into a lot of different positions. I bought the wire at Lowe's. It was a leftover from a wire roll. There was 3 little pieces. They were about 5 feet long, and I got them probably at a deal. I got them for like $6. That's a pretty heavy gauge wire. As you can see, it holds its bend when you bend it. Make sure that the wire you buy is going to hold its bend. Feed the wire through the tube where the shoulders are. And I feed that through so that it's even on both sides. It's kind of hard to pull through, but you know, you have to work with it. And throughout the video, I'm working with this thing, trying to get it even. So there's the shoulders and the trunk. There's the legs. The legs are about 36 inches long, and I've actually used a connector, PVC connector piece, to put 2 pieces together to make it 36-inch long. You can have it go straight with no connector, or you can use that connector, because what I can do with that is I can remove that straight connector and put in a 90-degree connector so that the creature can actually sit down. You can have the knees bent. I wouldn't recommend using wire. I'd recommend using a 90-degree connector or straight connector. So I'm going to do a quick put that together to show you. now you've got a sitting position. And then when you put it onto the body, like so, he will be able to sit. And you can have him sitting down if you don't want him standing up. I'm going to use a hammer to tighten everything up, because the joints can work loose as you're playing around with the PVC. I use a rubber mallet. I want to put the legs on. There's a left leg and a right leg, and then you'll get an idea as I stand it. And you can tell this creature's going to be pretty tall, and I haven't even put the feet on yet. But there's my mallet. Tap it down, get it tight. I'm going to be pulling it apart again anyway. And I'm going to put some feet on that. Now what I use for the feet is like a little 5-inch piece of pipe, a 1-inch piece of pipe, and I've got an end cap. It's just a cap that you put on the end of a PVC tube. Also, I use in the front where the toe would be, is I use one of those straight connectors. I would use an end cap on there, but the end caps are expensive. They're like $2. The connectors, the straight connector tubes, they're only like $1, I think. So I'll save a little money here and there. So I've got that 4 or 5-inch piece and the connector for the toe part. And then I'm going to hit it, put it on a T, which I've got a T connector. And I'm going to tap the toe part into the T. And if you look on the other side, there's a heel, that end cap. Then I'm going to add it to the bottom of this thing. I'm going to make a second foot. Second foot's completed. I'm going to tap it on. Tighten it up with a hammer. Make sure that the feet are kind of angled out a little bit. Helps add a little bit of support, but not too much. And that's got the feet, so now he can stand. And there's the frame. And then I'm going to pad out the torso, the chest and torso, and I'm going to use 2 pillows that you can purchase from Wally World for about $4 a piece. I got some off Craigslist. I got like 8 of them for $20, so I'll be able to have some backup pillows when I build a second monster. I've already taped those together, building this thing, but I've disassembled it to show you guys how I build it. But I take 2 pillows, and I'm going to mount them onto the spine, the frame here. I got one behind and one in front. Take my trusty black duct tape. I don't know why I use black duct tape, but I like it. I think it's better than using silver duct tape. It's less reflective, I think, when you got the thing dressed up. So I tape this thing on the front, on the top, around the shoulders, and then I tape it on the sides. And I don't tape it to the PVC, I just tape the pillows together. Pillows are still in their plastic that they came with from the store. You can see the hand there. I got 2 of those hands off eBay, and then I painted them. I'll show you a little close-up here in a second. Let's see, what am I going to do next? Next, I'm going to make like a waist area. I'm going to use a pool noodle. I'm going to form it into a circle, and then I'm going to duct tape it, and I'm going to mount it in the waist area. I'm just going to put it in there. I'm going to do 2 of those actually, and have a bigger waist area. But during while I'm building it, I just do 1. After I get it almost built, I decide to add another one. And then I tape those 2 together, and you'll see in a little while. So there you go, they're taped. That noodle's taped. I'm going to use 2 noodles. I'm going to make 2 of those. I'm going to take the top part of the body off and put those noodles on, and then I'm going to put the top part of the body back to the... Going to do 2 of those, like I'm saying. Now I think I'm going to make some arms using pool noodles. I'm going to slide it on there, get the length I want, and cut it. Then I'm going to cut an area where the elbow joint is. I'm going to cut a chunk out of the pool noodle so that it allows it to move more freely. I'm going to cut that one pool noodle right in half so it's even. And that way I have one for each side. And there you go. See where I've cut that little triangular piece out of where the elbow joint's going to be. And that'll make it so you've got a forearm and a bicep. And it makes it bend easier when you're bending your wire. The head. That's a Trick or Treat Studio mask. I've got a foam head inside it, a wig head, I believe, that I actually covered with duct tape. I actually also installed a couple of LED eyes where the eyeballs are going to be, so this monster can have red glowing eyes. Normally I will cut out the eyes, the mask eyes, and install acrylic eyeballs. I will also paint the mask. This is the actual color it came from the factory. Normally I'll give it more of a dead fleshy tone. You've seen in my other videos how I modify the masks. That one's unmodified, but it does have a wig head in it. The arms, the arms are, I'm always trying to adjust those and make sure that they're even. A lot of times you have to fight with this until you get it right. Yeah, stuck a little hand on there. That's one of those rubber vinyl hands I bought off of eBay. And I actually painted those to go on a monster. So that has more of a fleshy look with green and flesh. I'm adjusting the length of the foam so that I can have some more exposed wire so I can slide the hands on the figure. I'm getting ready to bubble wrap it, but that's one of those hands I bought off eBay. You probably recognize it. However, I added acrylic fingernails and then painted it, and then I added that scar all the way around it. I used silicone for that, I believe, and then painted it. Now I am going to eventually paint that mask, but not for this demonstration. There's actually a video I did earlier on how to modify those Trick or Treat Studio masks. Now I'm going to start filling out the chest and wrapping the body in bubble wrap. I need a nice big chest on this monster. And so I'm going to I get any bubble wrap I find in packaging that I get if I order anything, and then I buy a roll of the green bubble wrap from a home store. A lot of this stuff, I just keep all my bubble wrap scraps and packaging scraps because I can always use them when I build a monster. So I'm going to kind of expand the top part of the chest, and I'm using a pretty thick piece of packing material for that. I'm going to tape it on the back. Tape it along the bottom to the pillow bag. It's pretty warm out there. Should have put some sunscreen on the shiny part of that head. Seemed like at one time that was covered. I don't know what happened over the years. That covering on top of that head seems to have gotten thinned out a little bit. So now I've got a little bit thicker chest in the top. So you kind of get a little bit more of a torso look instead of a pillow look. Adding a piece of tape to the back. And then I'm going to use that green bubble wrap that you can buy at your home goods store. And I'm going to wrap it around the torso and tape it on. Now I'm going to apply the bubble wrap. It's sometimes hard to fool with that stuff when it's a little breezy and hot, but wrapped around it one time, and then I'm going to duct tape it on. Tape it, pull it around to kind of give it more of a tapered look, and I'm going to do that all the way around it. I'm going to build a couple of shoulders using some bubble wrap. Whoops. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up and then start it again. And then I'm going to finish the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that thing off, and I'm going to finish taping the bottom of that pillow area so it's nice and sealed up. And just speed it up here. You can see how I do it. I do it in strips. Like I do the back part in strips, and I do the front part in strips. And I'm going over the shoulders. I'm going to add a little bit of a bubble wrap on either side of the shoulders, front and back. Not really across the top, just to fill it out a little bit. And now I'm going to come up with something for the legs, I think. Or am I going to make another one of those? I know I'm making that one started to fall apart due to the heat, so I put a little more tape on it. But I am going to make another waist piece. I've just found some more packing material. That's a kind of a large inflatable packing material. I'm going to use that to make the thighs. So I'm going to put a piece on each side, then I'm going to get some bubble wrap and wrap those up. And that particular packing material really doesn't work out very good. I end up popping a piece on each side so I can thin it out because the thighs look too fat. Look like Frankenstein has some saddlebags on him. So, see where I'm going to attach probably some foam underneath it. Slit the foam so I can put it on the leg posts. And then I'm going to slit a piece of foam and actually put over the tube to make it a little bit thicker. And then I start to take some bubble wrap and wrap it up. So you can use just the foam tubes, and actually they make a fatter pool noodle, which you can get, which comes in handy when you're trying to make thicker areas. But you see I'm wrapping it up with tape. And then I'll have the two thigh areas. You can do the same thing with the calves. You can get some foam and put in on the calves. This just makes the pants not collapse in on the tubing. It makes it look a little fuller. Well, I used tape. It was a little messy out there that day. It was pretty hot. Speed it up a little bit. I'm adding more bubble wrap. Make it a little thicker. And then I'm going to start using the tape and taping it all the way up with the black tape. So now I've got the torso done, and I've got the legs done, and I'm going to test it out with some clothes and see what it looks like. Now we have the body padded out, and I'm just sticking the head and hands on there, taking another look at it. I'm going to take it apart, and this is where I'm going. There you got a full body shot. I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to make another waist ring out of the noodle, and I'm going to pad the shoulders a little bit more to make them a little wider, a little thicker actually. And there's where I doubled the noodle for the waist, and then taped it together. So now I have a better waist. Kind of trimmed out a little bit on the inside of one of the noodles so it would go over the PVC pipe. I cut out a little bit just on the bottom noodle, the noodle that's going to be hanging up over the PVC pipe. And I trim it out just a little bit, and that way it makes it stretch and fit a little bit better. Always pick up your scraps. Don't want any foam floating around your yard. There we go. We're getting the waist and area put in, and now I'm gonna put the chest area back on. It's just about ready to put some clothes on him, I believe. And we put some clothes on him to see what he's going to look like. And that's basically how you create a monster. The pants need a little work. Where the boots are, I need to add some more thickness to it, but you guys get the gist. It's a Frankenstein monster for Halloween.